Yeah, this video is going to be about quantum computers, which is a topic I barely touched on in the book. And the reason is because I'm not an expert in it, and I didn't want to just write garbage. But at a certain point, it becomes important to talk about in the context of this theory because, well, let me explain. So, quantum computers in general, how they work. They have, like computers have bits that have true and false. In quantum computers, you have qubits that can be in value true, value false, or value superposition, which is basically they are both in true and false. And the quantum computers do that through features of quantum mechanics, and they also involve quantum coherence and entanglement, so that they can create like relations between the qubits that even though without like a physical connection between them, physical relation between them, through entanglement. And the thing that eventually happens, the thing that eventually computes, is it makes it possible for it to compute what to figure out all the possibilities of the qubits being true and false, and explore all the combinations of options to eventually coalesce to one state, which is the solution of the quantum state, or without having to go through all the options like a traditional computer would have to. It just lets the feature of quantum physics solve it for it by through the way the quantum qubits are organized, something like that. And it turns out that this way, like just today, I saw like that Google came up with the Willow chip that does quantum computation, and it is capable of performing computations that are like the age of the universe, according to that it would take the age of the universe for a traditional computer to do. And because it goes through all the options without having to actually compute them. And there was like people interpreted it as if the quantum computer is actually traveling between universes, and in each universe it does like the traditional computation, and then comes back with all these universes that it visited, and through what it's basically an interpretation of the many worlds interpretation of quantum field theory, interpretation of interpretation. Anyway, so and that's a problem. So you have a piece of technology. This is why it matters to me. You have a piece of technology that uses the many worlds interpretation, or uses which is bad for me, because as I explained in a different video, when the many worlds interpretation is true, intentionality doesn't culminate into action. It simply has no relation with the eventual action that happens, and therefore experience becomes not only not fundamental, it becomes completely useless, doing nothing of no significance at all, and my entire theory just crashes and burns. And also, if you just consider the superposition as a real thing, even without the many worlds interpretation, then you come to whatever I interpreted from the double slit experiment, which has been leading me toward like the model in this theory, in segmented aspect, then that becomes kind of wrong, because it becomes not the right interpretation, like to think about as experience determining the state of the world, because the state of the world is actually superposition, is a state of the world. Anyway, my entire theory breaks apart if you just take it as it is. So how do I respond to it? Well, I'm not going to respond to it on the level of like explaining the quantum physics, because that's not my expertise. But I can give you a completely different way of understanding quantum computers and whatever is happening in the quantum level, and that's through my concept of experiential selection. Experiential selection is basically the idea that reality, the way it progresses, the way it evolves, is not through the what is like natural selection or laws of nature, making small changes one after the other and then culminating with a different reality, but rather experience picks or reality based on the semantic features that it likes. And the rest is details. The details get sorted by themselves just in time if experience bothers to ask the question, how does this work? It's simply that experience won't go if a world doesn't culminate into something that like if a selection of fundamental dimensions, which is like I'm going to the model, my model of experiential intersection. If the objective substrate of reality that experience reflects on returns something of value, like that an experience finds meaningful, then it looks at it, perceives it. Otherwise, it just jumps to leaps or drifts to another set of collection of, let's say, data points in the objective substrate of reality. And the meaning, the semantic meaning, the computations, so-called, these are generated if experience is interested just in time. So when you sing, and this applies to quantum computers, and I call it experiential selection because I'm saying that I believe that this thing is also the thing that is mobilizing evolution. The way experience is like selecting the biological features that it likes. It's like, I made a video about that. It's basically a completely a bottom-up take on intelligent design, but never mind. So, like, it's not a God looking at everything and determining how things are, but there is intelligence just coming from each and every one of us. Well, I'm sidetracking. So when you have this, then the whole idea of how quantum computers work is they come along after, like, experience does the heavy lifting. It picks realities that make sense, and realities that make sense are realities where a specific set of physics are there, and so it is experience that solves the computation that the quantum computers output, that they do. It's not, they don't do anything. They just tag along and measure the implications in terms of physical things that are measurable in physical wakeful reality of the choices that experience does in its progression along time, or progression along the present, as I said. And therefore, you don't need many words interpretation anymore. You don't need superposition anymore. All this superposition and the many words is like trying to interpret this as if, yes, it is being generated by a traditional computer in many universes. A traditional computer in many universes doing all the computation, then culminating into one state, and the state of the world is in superposition, all that stuff. Well, if you keep my theory, then you don't need to explain superposition at all, because not only does superposition not exist, nothing exists. Everything according to if you take the experiential intersection model, then nothing of physical reality exists but as a reflection of experience upon the fractalscape, the objective substrate of reality, the unchanging substrate of reality, just picking a set of things to reflect upon and affect on, and that's it. So superposition, just like non-superposition, these are all fabrications, basically, or concoctions that are being produced by this reflection, by the body. And everything works out and everything is fine. So quantum computers won't destroy my theory, although quantum computers are kind of a hurdle when trying to confirm my theory, but this is a different topic.